Okay, good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning for this webinar. Today we'll be going through protecting your IP in the OCS controller. It's quite a short video today, just over 10 minutes. Once we've run through that, we'll get stuck into the questions and answers that come in. So let's get going.
Welcome to today's tutorial. Let's get started. Let's take a look at the agenda for today. We're going to discuss what Cscape Security is and what it can do. We'll review the initial setup requirements, we'll talk about OEM sections, we'll demonstrate a few different scenarios, and as always, we'll finish with a live Q&A session. Cscape Security is a feature that protects the OCS application, which contains intellectual property. This security feature protects the program not only in Cscape, but within the hardware as well. It's completely tailorable to the OEM requirements, so you can lock it all down, or you can provide some access to your users. The initial setup of Cscape Security is accessed from the Tools menu. The designer can go to the Tools menu and select Security, and then change passwords to establish an administrator level password. Currently all passwords are numeric and can be up to 6 digits long. There are functions within Cscape to prevent someone from setting up an Autobot which would enter loads of passwords sequentially. Once an administrator level password is established, then the user simply presses the Setup button. Then a list of functions that can be protected are presented to the system designer. You simply check the functions that you want to protect. Functions that aren't checked can be accessed freely without a password. Here's a list of features. They're fairly self-explanatory. You can open, verify, download, edit, and save the program, and you can upload it from the controller. There's a feature called OEM Ladder that we'll discuss later. It's the ability to determine what sections are OEM protected and which ones aren't. You can control access to the remote terminal function available for the XLE product. You can control whether the user is able to change the controller from run to stop to do I/O, and you can decide whether the user can change the node number over the network. You can control whether the user can perform online programming as well. You can decide if you need up to 3 additional levels of security for your end users. Each level can be named. Each level has a 6-digit numeric password. In each level, you are determining which functions are allowed. Every time a user attempts to access one of the protected functions, they have to enter a password to log in. Let's showcase this process with a quick demo. I'm in Cscape. I have a program here, and I've got the XL4 running the Epoxymatic product. We have 3 different sections of code. We have a main section, a mix section, and a production data section. Now let's start setting up security. I'll go into the Tools menu. Under Security, I will select Change Passwords. The first step is to establish an administrative level password, which I'll do now. I'll hit the View Passwords button so I can see what I'm typing here, because it's important to get that right. So I've established the password. Now I need to go into Setup and determine what functions I want to protect. The functions on the left are all related to Cscape when it's running on the computer. The functions on the right are things like putting the unit in and out of run mode, setting the CAN ID, etc. For my demonstration, I'll lock everything down on the left side, and I'll leave everything open here on the right side. If all I'm interested in is locking everything down completely, then I'm done with my Cscape setup. For this to take effect, I'm going to download this to the controller. I'll have to enter my password at this point. It tells me that a login using the administrator password was made, and it puts a timestamp on it. So now that I've done that, I can do the download. And remember, if I'm not only going to protect the program, but also the unit itself, then I'll make sure that I download this program into the OCS that has the security changes implemented. Okay, so now we've done that, I'm going to log out here, and I'm going to make sure I've saved this program. Now I'm going to close Cscape, and when I open it up again, this time I will no longer be the admin, I will be the user. Let me attempt to open it here. If someone gets a hold of the program, they'll have to know the password in order to open it. Someone trying to access the program may try opening a blank file in Cscape and figure out the IP address of the controller by snooping the network. Let's go ahead and upload the program from the controller. I've established a connection. I'll hit the upload button. It says ID 253. That's fine. I'll hit OK. Again, I'm stuck because I don't have access to the program. So once again, the security feature has successfully prevented an unauthorized user from opening the program or uploading the program. Now we'll demonstrate allowing limited access to the user. I'm going to open my program as the administrator. It tells me a login using the administrator password was made. Now let's say, for example, I want to give the user the ability to update the program from the memory card if I send him a new program. So I'll go back into Tools, then Security, then Change Passwords. Okay, now one thing I could do is go back into the administrative level of password protection, and I could just uncheck this here. So that would be one way of doing that. I could uncheck the download and make downloads unprotected. So that would be an option for sure. But I want to create a new level of security or new user level, and I'm going to call this level Maintenance. Next, I'm going to assign a password to it, because every user level has to have a unique password. I'm going to hit the Setup button and determine what I'm going to allow this particular user level to do. I'm just going to allow them to be able to download, and that's all. These functions over here are not protected in general, so they can do these of course, but these are just things that you would do from the keyboard, like start and stop the controller. Alright, so I've added this level of security. It's important that I save this file and download it into my controller so that the security will take effect. Cscape is figuring out what's changed. I need to download new security information to the controller, and once that's completed, we're all set. Okay, so at this stage, let's say I have sent a new copy of my Epoxymatic program to my maintenance guy along with a password, and I've already put the updated program file on removable media and into the unit. As the end user, I'll now go into the system menu. So I go to Removable Media Kit, find the program file, hit enter, and asks if I'm sure I want to load the application. I'll say OK, and immediately it's asking me for the password. I'll type in the password as the maintenance guy, and now I'm able to update the program. So that demonstrates adding some level of access to an end user. Now we'll discuss the OEM sections of code that an OEM can set up. They can hide certain sections of code so that anything that is proprietary or secret can be hidden from the user. An OEM can mark different sections of code, and there can be multiple sections. Now we'll demonstrate OEM sections in Cscape. Let's set up an OEM section. I'm going to allow the customer to open the program, but only see the parts of the program that I want them to. So I'll make the proprietary parts protected through the OEM section feature. We're going to go into the Tools section, then Security, then Change Passwords, and we'll go into Admin Setup. And this checkbox here protects the ability for someone to create OEM ladder sections. Now we're going to go back into the Maintenance section, and we're going to enable the open functionality for this user level, so that the user can open the program. We don't have to do anything specific for the OEM section here. Okay, so I've made that change. To identify OEM sections, we go into the View area, and we make sure that the OEM section checkmark is active. As I mentioned at the beginning, I have 3 different sections of logic here. I have Main, Mixed, and Production Data. Let's say I want to hide these 4 rungs or identify them as an OEM section. Once my OEM section's checkmark is active, every time I right-click on the power bar, I have the option to start an OEM section. Where I want to mark the end of this section, I can right-click again and hit End OEM Section. Now I've identified this as an OEM section of code in my logic. I'll perform a save again, and then download these changes to the controller. In this case, the logic is downloading. Okay, so that's complete. I'll get rid of my controller here, and I'll close Cscape down. Now I'll log back in as the maintenance guy. So I'll reload Cscape and type in the maintenance guy's password. A login using the maintenance password is made with the timestamp, and then the program will open. So we still have these 3 sections: Main, Mixed, and Production Data. I can see Main, I can see Production Data, but when I look at Mix, part of it is hidden as a permanently locked OEM section. I can see that there's 4 rungs here, but I can't see anything else. As you can see down here, I'm connected to the controller. If I want to go into debug mode, I can. Now I can debug the program as a maintenance guy without access to sensitive information. So that wraps up the demonstration for today. Thank you for attending today's tutorial. The Q&A session will begin shortly.
Okay, everybody, so thanks for that. We don't have any questions coming in, so hopefully everything was pretty clear to everybody. I'd like to just show you the upcoming webinars. So let's just go to the Horner page with the webinars listed. So we've just seen the Cscape Security webinar today, and next week we're going to have Getting Started with IEC, where we'll be covering what exactly we mean by IEC on the OCS, and running through the 5 languages that are available as part of the IEC suite, and also how to start writing your first programs in each of the languages. So that's up and coming on the September the 23rd, 1 week today. We have been working on the schedule for October and for the September the 30th, and that should be published any day now. So please feel free to check back and see what we've got coming up in the near future. So short and sweet this morning, but thank you very much everybody for attending, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. Thank you very much indeed.